afternoon. Can you hear me in the back? Is this on, Kara? Hello? Got it? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Columbia Chamber of Commerce 2016 Small Business Week Awards Luncheon. And I hope that you're enjoying lunch. Please go ahead. I wanted to make a quick announcement. I'm Karen Taylor with Central Bank of Boone County, and I will be the MC today. We're getting started just a few minutes late, but so for those of you who have parked in the parking garage, the city is not going to be ticketing while we're here, so don't feel the need to have to run out and feed the meter. Okay, so we'll get through this. As I said, I'm Karen Taylor with Central Bank of Boone County, and we want to thank all of you for being here today to help us celebrate Small Business Week in our community. Thanks to the Columbia Chamber of Commerce volunteers, to the sponsors, and the small businesses for making this week such a success. This is the 24th anniversary of the Small Business Awards. And if there are any past finalists and recipients in the room, would you please stand to be recognized? Congratulations, that's quite an honor. And now we'd like to take a moment to congratulate all of the 2016 Small Business of the Year finalists. And so when I read your name, if you will either wave or stand, whatever is most comfortable as you're eating. Bluetail Medical Group. Boone Central Title Company. EasyPC IT and Computer Repair. Logboat Brewing. And Simon Oswald Architects. Congratulations to all of you. I know it's been a big week. And now I'd like to thank the sponsors of Small Business Week. The first is the presenting sponsor, William Keepers, LLC. If you just wave. Our gold sponsors for the week are Fast Signs, Missouri Employers Mutual, and MediaCom. Thank you. The luncheon presenting sponsor is Central Bank of Boone County. Our award sponsor, Midway Electric. And our media sponsors, the Columbia Missourian, the Columbia Business Times, KMOS TV Missouri PBS, and KBI-IA FM. We have our location sponsor, the Broadway. Thank you. And our door prize sponsor is KMOS TV Mid-Missouri PBS. And now we have a door prize, I believe. Oh, wow. Door prize courtesy of KMOS TV Mid-Missouri. And the winner will receive a production of a TV spot valued at $2,000. And the winner is Kim Harrison, who's with Direct Impact. Congratulations. Okay. At this time, we'd like to ask John Weaver with Small Business Week presenting sponsor Williams Keepers to say a few words.
Good afternoon. I'm John Weaver with Williams Keepers LLC, and on behalf of all the other members and associates of WK, I'd like to thank you all for coming and wish our sincere congratulations to all the finalists. It's been a fantastic week. I think all the events have been attended very well. Everybody's had a great opportunity to showcase their business, and I think that the spirit of that and such great attendance and everything else just shows how great it is of a community here in Columbia to allow small businesses to thrive. And I think that's the purpose of this week, and I think it's been a great example. As I mentioned Monday at the kickoff ceremony, this is our 12th consecutive year to serve as the presenting sponsor of Small Business Week. And it's kind of a special meaning to us in that small business services to small businesses are such a strong and important part of our practice. And we look forward to sponsoring this every year just to show our appreciation for all those relationships. So thank you for attending today's luncheon, and thank you to all of our fellow sponsors. Especially wanted to, again, wish best of luck to all the finalists, and we'll see what happens soon. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And now I would like to welcome Joe Henderson, President of Central Bank of Boone County, our Small Business Awards Luncheon presenting sponsor, who will say a few words and then introduce our keynote speaker today.
Karen's always so formal about that. I would like to mention that Karen was asked to step in and be the MC today a couple hours ago, and she graciously agreed to do that for us. Karen, thanks for doing that. Everybody take a sigh of relief. It is Friday. It's the day after Cinco de Mayo. The only thing that could be better is if we were on the rooftop. And from what I understand, maybe we'll do that next year. We'll be on the rooftop for this luncheon. So I would like to tell you that we are very proud to be involved in Small Business Week and be the sponsor for the awards luncheon. We've done that for 4 years for you. As the largest small business lender in the market, we take a lot of pride in what we can do for small businesses, particularly the entrepreneur who had the idea to develop something and had the passion to make it happen and the willingness to work hard to make it successful. And we believe that your success really has to do with our success as well, because that's one of the things that banks do is help businesses grow, and we think that's very important. We are truly honored to sponsor the event today. And I must share my appreciation for all the nominees. I think it's a great example for our community, the strength of our small businesses. And so wish all of you luck in the endeavor to win the small businesses here. We have a speaker today. It's truly my privilege to introduce the speaker. He is a successful entrepreneur, and early in his career, he was given an opportunity to join an emerging medical practice. Little did he know that within several years, it would evolve into being one of the most successful businesses in Columbia and a nationally recognized organization for quality medical care. And so Dr. Mark Adams, who is also a 20-year veteran of my board of directors, is going to talk a little bit about Columbia Orthopedic Group and its history and its involvement in this community, and I hope you'll join me in welcoming Mark Adams.
Gosh, it's always tough to follow a guy like Joe up here, you know, or any banker for that matter, because they're always so dapper and so bankerish, you know, they look so bankerish. So, thanks, Joe, for the opportunity to be up here. And thank you all for this invitation to speak to you. We're very proud of Columbia Orthopedic Group. So I really am most proud of its 50-year involvement in this community. So I have no problems getting up here talking to you, but I also want to tell you I'm proud from a personal note standpoint also because my parents were small business owners in southeast Missouri, and I know how hard they worked and what they did to throw themselves into it and put 7 of us kids through college and the dedication and the sacrifice that they had. And I know you all are doing the same thing. So thanks for letting me be here on their behalf. We also want to congratulate the finalists for this. I know you all have worked very hard. You're to be congratulated, and I know there's one winner, but I think from what I read, there's 5 winners today. So Thank you. Let's talk about Columbia Orthopedic Group and medicine in general first. Every business, every industry is unique, yet various stakeholders exist to affect your success. And in medicine, the primary stakeholders, the first one obviously is the patient. Second one, healthcare providers, whether we're talking about doctors, nurses, physical therapists, whatever. Hospitals, we all know that hospitals play a huge role in any patient's care and the activities that healthcare providers provide. Insurance, and last but not least, the government. These stakeholders, let's look back to when our group was founded in 1965. The primary stakeholders were really patients and the healthcare providers. Hands down, they were the most important thing that existed back then. Patient-physician relationship was of utmost importance. That's what drove medicine back then. The other players were very important. Hospitals primarily were nonprofit, single freestanding entities in a community, and they were back in 1965, they were very patient-centric also. They existed to make sure that the patient got good health care wherever they were. Insurance had come out of really World War II. That's when insurance started, as employers started providing insurance for their employees. And by the 60s, it had grown, and most employers were starting to dabble with providing employee benefit health insurance. And the government was a very small player back then. In fact, in 1965, when we were founded, the government passed legislation in July of that year and was signed by Lyndon Johnson to create Medicare and Medicaid. So they were just getting started in 1965. Let's move ahead to today. Patients, still necessary for the medical care and everything. And the doctor's still important, but probably not as important as some of the others. Hospitals have moved into a big preeminent role. And they're no longer single freestanding entities. They're now systems. And they spread across big geographic boundaries. The Mayo Clinic has hospitals in Scottsdale, and they had it in Jacksonville. Even here in Columbia, the university touts that they are tied to the MD Anderson system. Boone Hospital out of St. Louis utilizes BJC for their management. So hospitals are now big systems, and they occupy a huge role in medicine today. And insurance, you all know what's happening in insurance. It's coalescing. Fewer and fewer insurance companies exist today, and at times, across some geographic boundaries, they almost have what might be termed a monopoly. In Alabama, 80% of the commercial insurance patients are covered by Blue Cross Blue Shield. So they have an unbelievable power today that didn't exist before. And finally, the government. I should have made that one a lot bigger, You all know the Accountable Care Act and what's known as Obamacare. What a role that is taking today for us, and is even going to change more and more. Medicare is expanded many times in the last 50 years, as has Medicaid, as you know, and there's still ongoing debate about where we should be with Medicare and Medicaid. But every business and industry has its unique characteristics, but I believe these principles and tenets are universal to any business success. First, an idea. Second, a strong execution of that idea or the plan. Third, thanks to the bankers and financial institutions in here, a supportive financial institution, and there's an element of just being in the right place at the right time. I think all of you all know that. I suspect Walmart, Facebook, Google, and any of the 5 finalists today would agree that these are pretty important things. Let me tell you how these elements came together for us. First, there was an idea. And that was provided by one of our founders. There were 3 of them, actually. That every business needs an idea, and to be a good idea goes without saying. Garth Russell was quoted one time as, "We want to build a group providing the highest quality orthopedic care in the heart of mid-Missouri." We had 3 founders. They had 6 initial employees. They started in a small white house over by Boone Hospital. We've grown and we now have 29 physicians, 150 plus full-time employees, and we're operating out of a 70,000 square foot building. Now, and in medicine, anybody that's in here, Kristen, any of you all that are active in medicine know there's also a basic tenet that has said, how do you have success as a physician? And we talk about the 3 abilities. First is just your ability as a clinician. And looking back at Garth's idea, ability by providing the highest quality orthopedic care. The second ability we talk about is availability. You don't care who they are, you need them when you need them, you need them. And when you look back at Garth's idea, availability in the heart of mid-Missouri. No longer, after we were founded, did people feel they had to go to St. Louis or Kansas City for subspecialty care or so. And the final ability that came out is affability. You got ability and you're available, you still want a guy that's good and has bedside manner and some empathy. So with these things in mind and this idea, I'd love to tell you all that back 50 years ago, there was a very nice business plan created that was 100 pages thick, and we've enacted that like the MBAs are taught in graduate school these days. And I have a son graduating from an MBA program tomorrow, and business plans are, you don't go anywhere without a business plan anymore. I tell you, it didn't exist for us. I've looked in every record we've got. I've looked in all the archives. They started out with a great idea and flew by the seat of their pants. So I think we can all agree, great ideas and no business plan probably supersede a mediocre idea and a big, thick business plan. So I think at least our success will tell you that. So I mentioned about the idea, about execution or strong execution. I put plan, but really in our case it was an idea. And really before Jim Collins came along and that book, Good to Great, COG began getting what we term the right people on the bus. Getting the right people in any business means a lot. And I think all of you all spend time trying to make sure in your hiring practices you're getting the right people to do the right things for you. Secondarily, we developed a critical mass of high quality physicians, and I should have put this in highlighters, the support staff. You all know what it's like when you have a physician encounter. Sometimes your physician encounter is 5 minutes. You've spent 10 minutes at the front desk. You've spent 5 minutes, 10 minutes talking to a nurse and then checking out. So you've got to have a great support staff, and I would say that translates almost to any business out there. We became an early adapter of subspecialization. And believe me, back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, subspecialization was pretty radical, pretty evolutionary. Back then, doctors were to provide all care. It was a source of pride. I can do your appendix, I can fix your arm, I can do anything. Yet when we looked at it, as things were moving down the line, we asked ourselves, and you all know too, which would you rather have? A guy doing your appendix that's done 5 in the last couple of years, or would you rather have somebody that's done 100 of them? Or your total hip replacement? Or are you taking your kid's tonsils out? So subspecialization started moving forward. And when that happened, our success began to be measured by improved orthopedic care outcomes. Our initial partners that started the group began by driving to Marshall and Fulton and Moberly all around with instruments in the back of their car. It's funny to have a picture of one of them with his trunk open and stuff that's in there. I said, that doesn't exactly look very sterile, or anything. But that's how they started. And doing that in those environments, and doing those in Marshall and those places, they got good results. And suddenly people decided they would migrate to Columbia and come down here because the well-intentioned primary care doctor out there that left them with a little crooked arm, that you didn't have to live with that anymore. So, and every field has taken off like that. Now, I'll also tell you that my group is early medical entrepreneurs, and there's been a very nice series of articles this week in USA Today, you'll have probably been talking about them, about being an entrepreneur, and they were very early. Regional hospital was built and invested in by my group and other physicians, and you gotta understand, that was a big jump, because we're sitting in a community that already had 2 hospitals, in a town of about 35,000 at that time, and so you're gonna build a 3rd hospital, and both those were government hospitals, one's the university, but the university was fairly quiescent back then. They were in the business of training doctors and nurses, really, and the hospital was a sideline. And then you had Boone Hospital, which was a county hospital, and you know, with government resources, and not a lot was being poured into it, so you had some pretty big competitors in that they were nonprofit, government, and 2 of them sitting here in a town of 30,000. But they took a chance and built Columbia Regional Hospital, which is now Women's and Children's Hospital, and it succeeded. Secondarily, they began to focus on new technology. That's right about the time that joint replacements started finding a place in our life, when, from our perspective, arthroscopy was coming around. They invested in that. They tried to be out in front of the wave on that. Then they began to develop our office buildings and such. Decided that we were going to pay rent to ourselves instead of someone else. We built first a building over by Regional Hospital, and when I came here, that building was shared by our group, by Dr. Robert Thomas, an ENT doctor, and the Columbia Eye Associates had just moved out. We outgrew that building. Then we built the health pavilion sitting right beside Regional Hospital right now. We needed a surgery center. None of the hospitals were willing to take a chance on outpatient surgery right then, because it was a big deal for them. So we needed one to be able to move forward, and we built the health pavilion, and finally we're in the building at the corner of Broadway and 63 now with what we have. And then here's where I think the entrepreneur spirit began to really show, when we developed other businesses. We owned physical therapy. We're out of that. We've been legislated out of that in Missouri since the early 90s. But then we built imaging centers. We had the first freestanding MRIs in this area. And then we have developed into other surgery center, and that's helped our success, being able to attract top-notch doctors to come in and be a part of that. So they were early entrepreneurs, and I saw this quote this week or last week in USA Today, that investing in your own business doesn't cost, it pays. And I think that was Richard Branson that made that quote for the article. I'll tell you, we couldn't have done it without supporting a financial institution. I think all of you know that growing businesses depend on financial advisors and bankers who, number one, try to understand the fundamentals of the business. They work to understand what we're doing and try to help us. And then, in that process, can offer more resources than just loan proceeds. I'll tell you, we've got a pretty big building out there, and thanks to Central Bank, it's not just a loan proceed. We have a swap on that. We have letters of credit out there, and it's a fairly complex thing that we needed people that could really guide us well. And for COG, the proliferation of regulation, boy, it's interacted us a lot dealing with the government and all, and we know from a banking standpoint and every other business out there, it has impacted you all, but it still hadn't undermined the support that we have with our institution. So thanks to all the financial institutions in this community, because they do believe in entrepreneurship, and I know you all have felt that too. And finally, as I said, I think it helps being in the right place at the right time. I think every one of us envision being in the front of any wave that's affecting that business. And never underestimate the power of good timing. If you've got a good idea, good timing, move forward. And the goal is always to be out in front of that wave, and if you can't be good, at least be lucky and be out in front. And I think we were a combination of both of those. With growth comes evolution. And I'm going to ask Gene Austin, our CEO of 16 years, to come up and just give you a little bit more of from what the business model kind of looks like that may help. Thanks.
Well, just to clarify, when we came in, Kara said that we each had 20 minutes, so we're in good shape. As somebody who has founded and operated small businesses in the past, before I joined the orthopedic group, Every business needs to grow. There is no such thing as staying static. Turn it this way. Just as Dr. Adams mentioned, with growth comes evolution. One of the changes that comes about with growth is that periodically the owners get new jobs. And that's simply because the needs of the organization grow and change. In the case of the orthopedic group, the needs of 15 physicians banded together are quite different than the needs of 30 physicians banded together. So as the change grows, successful businesses and successful owners understand that, and they adapt to meet the needs of their business. For those situations where they don't understand that their job changes to meet the need, it can be awkward at best and deadly at worst. So as the orthopedic group has gone through that change, we refer to that as organizational adolescence, and in that process, the physician owners have gradually relinquished their control of some of the granular aspects of operation and have turned that over. And what this has involved is a transition and an investment, both emotionally and financially, into developing the necessary infrastructure, to run the business. Part of that comes for them, and for those of you facing the same situation, it boils down to what is the difference between governance and management. Because there's a difference between setting the goals and leading the team to help make those goals come about. If you would think about the transition from being an offensive coordinator to a head coach to an owner, each one is vital to the success of the organization, but the organization isn't very successful when those lines get blurred. And there's a team down south that may be an example of that. In our organization, here's how this comes out. If we have a physician who's had a hard time letting go, some might refer to micromanager. You've got somebody who's too involved in the operations. Why this isn't good is because now it's not a good use of their training, of their time. You've got somebody working out of balance. By the same token, if the owners relinquish all the control, now you've got a management team working in a vacuum. You've got an owner, in this case a physician, who's not invested in the goals and priorities. And so you've got everybody flailing around, but there's no coordination of effort. Our role, the management team's role at the orthopedic group, is to try and achieve that balance where everyone's skill and contribution is optimized. The constant question that we try and put forth to the physicians and that those of you with growing successful businesses need to continually confront is simply, what is the highest and best use of my time? When it comes to decision making, the importance of where decision making is unique, not just in medicine, but it's unique to every business. And the challenge is simply to find out what's the scope of authority. What are the decisions that require all of the owners to be involved in? In our case, what is the role of the decisions that we require the executive committee, or the CEO, or the management team? My feeling is that any successful business needs to find a way to push decisions to the lowest level in the organization possible. Because as you do that, you free your upper management to work at a higher and higher level. Research has shown that churches only grow as large as their parking lot. So for a small business, we're going to change that and adapt that statement just a little bit. How quickly a business can make operational decisions is going to govern how fast you can grow and how successful you can be. Kind of the antidote for me when I joined the orthopedic group a number of years ago, they hadn't had any professional management for a number of years. Mine is a Rip Van Winkle story. I worked at the orthopedic group not long after I got out of graduate school. And I had such a good time that I quit after a year. And it was at that point that myself and a partner started a business. We sold that. I started another couple of businesses. And then a few years after that, the orthopedic group was looking for somebody, and so we got back together. At that time, the management team was a singles match. I was it. There would be days, those of you who have started your business, you can relate, your chief cook and bottle washer. There would be days I thought, oh yeah, I've got to install computers today, so I'm going to wear jeans because I'm going to spend half my day under the desk. And gradually, as we grew, we understood that in order for the organization to grow, I needed to work at a higher and higher level. And so after a while, we began to bring on different members of the management team. And so now we've got 7 highly qualified individuals that have allowed me to function at a higher level. And as a result, hopefully, the physician leadership team also functions at a higher level. One of the things that we were asked to address was the impact of innovation. And a good example of that simply is the office building that we operate out of. Because in the planning process, it was planned around workflows that were dependent on technology that we had never used. This was right about the time when we were planning the building. We had always had paper records. We knew that we were going to have to go electronic because everybody else was, and that was the way of the future, so plan on electronic records. So we've got a workflow in a building that assumed everyone was going to be using an electronic health record. What did that mean? How were the physicians and nurses going to interact? How was the front desk going to interact? And all of those decisions were made in a vacuum. It was an attempt to try and anticipate, and I think for the most part we did a pretty good job. The challenge of any business is being able to differentiate what we do and who we are from the elements of how do we do what we do. Because you want constant values, you want who you are to be the same, but how you work is going to change. And so what we tell new physicians, love what you do, but don't fall in love with how you do it. So with all that said, just as the element of any successful business are the same across, as Dr. Adams pointed out, so are the challenges. Your operations are being increasingly impacted by outside forces. I imagine the government plays a role in everybody's daily life. Your technology is not always enhancing the relationship that you have with your customers. And increasingly, you're going to have third parties getting involved in the relationship that you have with your customer. But again, as somebody who has operated small business, I want to congratulate each one of you for the efforts that you put in and for the added value that you bring to our community. And on behalf of the Orthopedic Group, I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Adams and Jean. Those were some pretty powerful messages about adaptability, looking forward, not being stagnant, looking to the future, what opportunities are there, what exists in the future that isn't even there today. And as I heard Jean talk about how he built his management team, he brought in specialists in that area just as the docs are specialists in their areas. So congratulations and thank you very much for sharing that wisdom with us today. So let's recognize the Small Business of the Year finalists one more time. So when I call your name, if you would please stand for one more recognition. Bluetail Medical Group. Boone Central Title Company. EasyPC IT and Computer Repair. Logboat Brewing. And Simon Oswald Architecture. We wanted to make sure that we recognize you well because you've done a lot of great work in the community and I know this has been a big week. So congratulations again on behalf of the Small Business Committee. We hope that you've had a great Small Business Week experience and that it's been beneficial to you and your employees throughout the week. So now I'd like to invite Dr. Kyle Lesenby with Plaza Dental Group, who is our 2015 Small Business of the Year recipient, and he is going to be here to help us present the Small Business of the Year Award for 2016. Okay, so now for the big moment. I'm thrilled to introduce the Small Business of the Year video produced by Mediacom. The video is going to show you a little bit more about each of the finalists, and at the end of the video, look for the announcement of the 2016 Small Business of the Year. We ask that the winner come forward for a few words, after the announcement. So let's roll the tape.
The Columbia Chamber of Commerce and On Media are proud to announce the 2016 finalists for the Small Business of the Year Award. Logboat Brewing Company.
Possibly can, first and foremost. Our focus is on quality, always. I'm Tyson Hunt. I'm one of the co-founders and captain of Logboat Brewing Company. We're a microbrewery that's formed 2 years in May of this year, so pretty new to the scene of craft beer in Columbia. Moved back to Missouri in 2008, at which point recognized that we needed some more beer in this town. Really, we only had one brewery at the time, which was Flatbridge, and saw an opportunity in this market to start a production brewery. Our culture here, it's like a family, you know. We work with some of our best friends, and they're all outstanding at what they do. And so we've created a culture, I think, here that is fun. We really enjoy working here. We love being around each other. You know, every day is a new challenge. No 2 days are the same ever, which I really like. I don't know that I'll ever get tired of kind of this controlled chaos that we're working within. I'm learning a ton, and I'm inspired every day by the people around me. To receive that recognition, just to be nominated, it's incredible. This town has been nothing but supportive to Logboat. We're humbled by it, and we have a huge responsibility, you know, to continue making quality products and serving our community and making Columbia as good a place as it can be.
EasyPC.
EasyPC is a small business IT, commercial IT vendor. We also have a computer repair shop that you see behind us that's open to the general public. So our main business is commercial IT services, where we become full-on IT for small businesses. We provide everything from one-time services, going in when there's a problem, to full-scale.
I love getting up there. And part of my day is just seeing all my clients and talking with them and getting to know that their business is functioning properly because their IT is functioning properly. And so it's a great feeling.
I would love to be the largest IT vendor in Columbia. I don't really want to expand outside of Columbia. I really want to focus on just serving Columbia's small businesses. I don't really want to expand the larger businesses. I really just want to continue to care for all the small businesses in Columbia.
Being able to provide that personalized service is the most important thing. So as we grow, as long as we can continue to provide that, that's all that matters to me.
I saw, the other finalists, and I thought, wow, I was so happy to just be included in the same group of finalists as those awesome businesses. So yeah, just super proud to be here after 5 years, and we really look forward to seeing where we go after this.
Boone Central Title.
Darling, and reporting live from Boone Central Title, and we are in the business protectable. So, Mr. Protectable, do you have a secret identity?
Well, of course, every superhero has a secret identity. I don't know a single one who doesn't. Who wants the pressure of being protected every time?
Of course I have a secret identity. Can you see me in this at a closing table? Come on, who wants to go to a closing business is protectable, you know what I mean?
Well, I do, darling, but let's get back to business. What do you want to do at Boone Central Title?
Well, it is a three-step protectable process.
First step, research.
Our research department checks ownerships and needs to be elected or paid to make sure the new buyer had their property rights protected.
I never look back, darling. Distract from the now.
Next is closing.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Stewart. Hi, I'm Miss Closer. I'm Miss Buyer. Nice to meet you, Buyer. I just got back from Vegas and I'm not sure what my last name is. Don't worry.
Last step is policy.
An owner's title policy will protect title to your property against any possible title problems. The policy is where you will have rights.
And if anything ever goes wrong, darling, with Protectable's gonna get.
We're saving the world, one policy at a time.
Protecting your property rights is a job we take very seriously here at Boone Central Title. On behalf of the office, I'd like to thank our friends at the Chamber for this nomination. It's given us an opportunity to show the community what we've been doing at Boone Central Title for over 100 years.
Simon Oswald Architecture.
We are the only firm in Columbia that really has the full services of architecture and interior design. We were founded by an architect and an interior designer. Really to this day, we just try very hard to make sure that the exterior and interior are holistically integrated designs, so that the exterior and interior go together. We spend a lot of time making sure that we're creating spaces that enhance people's lives, and so we really think about the people that are using the space, not just elements that we're trying to create. I think at the end of the day, we are not satisfied unless the client is satisfied.
We're here for the long haul. And 2 years, 5 years, 10 years after a project's completed, if they have an issue, they call us.
Several of our staff that we have, the core staff, have been here for over 10 years, and so kind of a family atmosphere. It's nice when people you work with every day, the ones that you spend more time with than your actual family, or other people like we have here. I actually really enjoyed working on the application because it was a way to try to take a step back and look at all of the things that we have accomplished and answering each of those questions. I'm like, wow, this really is a great place. We really do good work. We are a great team, a great organization. Not anyone is good at that sort of thing. But for me, it was kind of reaffirming, I guess.
Bluetail Medical Group.
I'm Kristen Oliver. I'm a physician here in Columbia, Missouri and St. Louis, and the name of our business is Bluetail Medical Group. And Bluetail Medical Group is a group of non-operative orthopedic physicians who focus on alternatives to surgery to help with chronic pain issues, including non-healing injuries, as well as other chronic problems such as arthritis. We found that a lot of our endurance athletes weren't healing their soft tissue problems like a tendon or ligament. So we started using platelet-rich plasma in order to help people heal quicker. We went from really being primary care sports where people would come for ankle sprains and concussions and things like that to really people seeking us out for these biologic grafts, including platelet-rich plasma and autologous donors. Well, I love my patients. I would say I have the world's best patients. I think some physicians would find them challenging. Cash pay, this is a cash pay procedure. Cash pay patients are a little more demanding in general, but they're also very happy. And they are happy when they get better. I don't know, it's just they almost become like family. The nominating part was very sweet. I'm shocked somebody didn't think that I should be nominated. So I was very flattered. It's been great. I've enjoyed it. I've met a lot of the people at the chamber for this, and I've also met some of the other finalists and got to know them about their businesses, all of which are great. And I think it's fantastic.
Congrats to all of this year's finalists. And now, the winner of the 2016 Small Business of the Year Award, Logboat Brewing Company.
On behalf of our company, Logboat Brewing Company, I'll humbly accept this award in Tyson and the rest of the gang's absence. They're at Craft Brewers Conference out in Philly. Thank you guys. Thank you to the Chamber. Thank you guys for all your continued support. We wouldn't be anywhere without you guys supporting us. So thank you guys.
congratulations to Logboat Brewing. He had some tough competition, so congratulations. And so it's a huge testament to the work and to the businesses that are doing great things in the community. Now, we'd like the finalists to come forward too, please, to receive some recognition. So if I could first have Bluetail Medical Group. Congratulations. Boone Central Title Company. EasyPC IT and Computer Repair. And Simon Oswald Architecture. Congratulations to all of you. Joe mentioned that it was just a couple of hours ago when I found out that I was going to be filling in as MC today, and at first I was very flattered about that. And then when I got the script, I realized that Karen Mickey from Accelerated Wealth was going to be the MC. She was one of the co-chairs, and it just made it easy not to change the name on the who was speaking part. So I don't know, but thank you for the opportunity. What a great week this has been. I want you to go ahead and mark your calendars for May of 2017, when we'll be celebrating the 25-year anniversary of the Small Business of the Year. And as Joe mentioned, we're going to change it up a little next year with a cocktail party and a new format, and that will be announced at a later date. All finalists, if you would please stick around so we can make sure that we can get pictures, group photos. And on behalf of the Small Business Committee and the Columbia Chamber of Commerce, thank you to the finalists, to the Columbia Chamber of Commerce, to the nominators, to the sponsors, the chamber members for helping us celebrate this whole week-long event. So congratulations to all of you. Congratulations again, Logboat Brewing, for your recognition today, and thank you for being with us. And I might note that we knew we had a little bit of sound difficulty, so the video will be placed on the Chamber's Facebook page, so you can go out there and view that as well. So thank you for being here.